All right, guys. Hi, guys. Can you hear me? See me? Can you guys hear me and see me? Yeah. All right. Great. So let's begin today's session. Sit comfortably wherever you are. Keep your back and neck straight and very gently close your eyes. Start observing your breath. Watch the natural flow of your breathing as you inhale and exhale. Slowly shift the attention to the body and just take a few moments to adjust your posture, trying to keep your posture stable and comfortable. If you need to make any adjustments or relax any body part, you can take this time to do so. Gently come back to your breathing and begin to go into the process of Puraka and Richika. Slow, long and deep breaths. Take a while to relax your mind and prepare the mind for Om chanting. Inhale deeply for Om. We'll chant Om 3 times. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Observe the vibrations of your chanting. Join your palms together and begin to rub palms together. Keep the palms on the eyes. Very slowly, while blinking and looking at your palms, begin to open up your eyes and come back with a big, big smile. And namaste to everyone. Let us begin today's session. So today we are going to go deeper, right? Cover a few more things, and then we are going to go for today's practice as well, right? So today we are going to discuss the general guidelines, right? As a pranayam practitioner, there are a few guidelines that you need to know about when you are practicing, right? And these are kind of prerequisites actually. If I before without keeping these in mind, you cannot go ahead and practice pranayama, right? So these are some general instructions and prerequisites that you need to have in your mind before you enter the practice of pranayama. Okay? So okay, so we have done the concept of pranayama. We have covered the 5 sheets. We have covered the 5 pranas yesterday. And now today we are going to talk about some general guidelines, right? So as you know, this is the 4th limb, like I told you, before this you practice asana. So first thing is let's begin with the sequence only, okay? So first thing is the sequence. So you will see a lot of people, sometimes what they do is they make people go for pranayam practices before the asana. So when they open the class, they make them do some pranayam practices and then they also end the session with that. So this sequence is not correct. The pre-practices that we are doing, we can do those in the beginning of the class. That is all right. So like yesterday you did the practice of following your breath. This you can do before the asana practice, right? But when we step into the main pranayam practices, those done in the beginning of the class, they are always done after the practice of asana and even after the cleansing practice. So cleansing practice is called, there are a few cleansing practices. They are called Shat Karma. SHATKARMA. Shat Karma. Shat means 6 and karma means the activities or the actions. Right, so these are 6 basically processes which are used to cleanse the body. So some of them which are specific, which will help you in the breathing process, making the breathing process easier. Those can be performed before the pranayam practices, so that you just make sure that the nasal passage is clean and open. So these cleansing practices, they make the breathing passages clean and open so that you can enter the practices. So these can be done before the pranayam practice, and then the asana practice is also done before pranayam. So don't open your class pranayam, then do asana, then again pranayam. That will be the wrong sequence. Pranayam should always be done in a toxin-free body and then also a stable body. These 2 things are required for pranayam practice, right? So before you do these things, it's again, it's like traffic on the road, right? So it will you won't be able to reach your destination, right? You'll get stuck in between, right? So this is the sequence that we follow when we do the practices, right? Now next thing is I will tell you the general contraindications, and then Okay, contraindications. So this word means people who should not practice. Okay. So again, pranayama is an advanced practice. It cannot be done by everyone. So there are, depending on which pranayama I will teach you, I will separately tell you the category of people who will not be able to do the pranayams. But on a general basis, when we look at pranayam overall, it should not be performed by people during illnesses. So whenever somebody has some kind of illness or severe kind of illness, then at that point of time, pranayam should not be performed then, because the body is already going through that illness, right? So once you come back to your normal health, then go for the practices, right? Same thing. Heart patients, you have to be very careful. Okay, people who have any kind of heart disease, you have to take care, because for them, whenever we do pranayam, there might be some by default retention, like sometimes when you guys also inhale and exhale. So sometimes what happens is, by default, if your attention or awareness is not there, there is some retention that is taking place. And for heart patients especially, retention is never performed, right? So for them, they should always be in the presence of a practitioner, someone who is a competent teacher, basically, who can closely monitor what is happening, right, as they are practicing. Because again, these are they are going to work on a very subtle level, right? So these are some general contraindications. You just have to take care that during these conditions, you have to be very careful, right, during the pranayam practices, right? Um, let's move to our next point. Okay. So our next point is first I'll discuss the place of practice. Okay. Place of practice, right? Where are you practicing? That also is going to be very relevant for you guys, right? Wherever you are choosing to practice, that also place, that setup needs to have some qualities. Okay. So first thing is that place should be well ventilated. Okay. So if you are maybe sitting in a place where there is no ventilation, no movement of air, it's again going to cause trouble. And if you just go and sit in front of a window, then also it's going to cause trouble. So the movement of the air should be there, but the air should not disturb you, right? Because your focus is going to be something else, right? So if maybe you are sitting in front of the window and the air gushes by, so it's going to capture your attention, right? So you have to just make sure that there is proper movement of the air wherever you are, whenever you are selecting your place, right? You have to maintain the cleanliness in that place, right? Because now you are working on the breathing practices. So if the place around you is not clean, then again, you're going to breathe in that kind of, air only, right? And then you change the rhythm of the air. So it's going to have an impact, a much greater impact on you, rather than just existing in a place which is not clean. These practices, because you are already working on something subtle, so they will then carry that impact over there. So wherever you practice, clean that place regularly, and overall also choose a clean place. Don't choose a cluttered place, right? Because however your area will be, like that will also impose on the state of your mind, right? So it's quite important to keep that place for a specific purpose, right? So again, the next that brings me to the next point, which is choose a particular place. All right, don't keep changing that place. You have to stick to, like I told you, stick to your mat. Also choose your mat and be with that mat only. In that same way, whatever place you are choosing in the house, practice regularly over there only. Make that your spot. Like in homes, we have a place where we go and worship. So that place, whenever you enter that place, everything changes, right? Because it's a cue for your mind that now I have entered this space, now I have to act in a certain way. So it will act as a cue for you guys whenever you step into that space. Again, setting your space according to your taste is again very, very important. So if you like, you know, uh, plants, you can keep plants over there. In fact, indoor plants are a good, keeping them is a good practice, especially when it comes to pranayama. For asana and everything, it's separate, but especially when you are working on the breathing, it's good to have plants around you. Some greenery should be there. And even indoor plants cleanse the air also. So you guys can go and look for plants which are specifically, also working on cleaning the air around them. And you can buy those plants and get them in your space wherever you are practicing, right? If you like candles or incense sticks, I would not say during pranayam, do not try to stay away from them. But if you like little bit of lighting, if you plan to close the lights only, but you want some light, so you can get some uh, small candles also, right? So set up your space in accordance with your taste. All right, it will act as a very big motivator for you to continue your practices. When you choose your mat, also go look for a mat which you really like, the color which you really like. Whatever color you like, it says so much about you. So choose something of your own preference. Try to go for natural materials, right, rather than going for a synthetic kind of mat. Try to go for a mat which is made out of natural material, which will again have an impact on your practice. You will not recognize this in the beginning, but eventually you will recognize that all of these things are adding in some way or the other to your practice, right? So set your space as you like. It will help you a lot. Okay, let's come to clothes. Your clothes also play a very important role. Whenever like you would have seen, if you have to go to some place, people have different outfits, then you have to go to some other place, people change their outfit, right? So in that same way, when you sit for your pranayama practice, it is very important that you first of all wear comfortable clothes, right? Because you are going to sit for a long period of time, and if you are wearing clothes which are uncomfortable, then it's going to become harder for you, right? Try to buy clothes which have natural material, cotton, wool. Try to go for such kind of clothes, and go for loose clothes, guys. So in today's market, when you look at the clothing that is there for yoga, it's the exact opposite is going on. You will find lowers which are tight fit, made out of synthetic material, and they sell these things by saying that it will help you if you want to stretch your muscles, no? So it will help you, but these things, they block the breathability of the body, right? And if your body isn't able to breathe, or the muscles aren't able to find the right space, how will you increase your flexibility, right? So you have to, even for your asana practice, I would say go buy some loose clothes, right? It's going to drastically change how your mind is also. When you wear the loose clothing, your mind becomes more relaxed. If you have not observed this time when you wear some loose clothing, observe this thing, you know. So whatever you are wearing, I'm telling you, each and every little thing is having an impact on you. So if you change that thing, you go for natural material, and you go for uh, clothes which are comfortable, right? When you go to sleep, no, you wear comfortable clothes, no, so it helps you to sleep. In that same way, when you go for your pranayama asana practice, it's very important. Whatever you are wearing is very, very important and essential, right? So if you feel that you currently don't have anything which is loose and which will support your practice, this weekend, like tomorrow, take out the time, go for some shopping, go do some shopping for yourself, and go buy some clothes in which you can practice, right? It is very, very essential, right? Then let's come to your time of practice. Okay. So place of practice is very essential, and so is the time of practice. Pranayam generally is done, it's preferable to do the yogic practices in general either during the morning or during sunset time. These are two very preferable timings, right? So when you sit and practice during these timings, your mind, you will see, is generally quite calm. So all the effort that you put in to calm yourself first before your practices, that is automatically removed when you go and you practice during these times, right? So by default, the mind is prepared for these practices. So for pranayam also, the best time to practice is either during the morning or during the sunset time, right? For most pranayams, these two timings are the most ideal ones. And this, I'm saying this for another reason also, which I'll write down next, right? So these two timings, like generally the way in which we eat our meals and plan our meals, also these two timings, the stomach is empty. So this is your next point: empty stomach. Okay. So whenever you are doing your practices, you need to be empty stomach. Okay. Uh, Early in the morning, you are by default empty stomach, and the way in which we consume our meals around the sunset time, again, at that point of time, even if you have dinner at that point of time. So by default, before dinner, you need to feel hungry, So that point of time, you're empty, your stomach is empty, right? So already lunch, it's 3 hours after the lunch. So there has to be a gap between the meals also, right? So one thing is you have to be empty stomach. And if you are going for the evening practice, then you have to make sure there is 3 to 4 hours of gap after you eat. So don't go and practice after 2 hours. You need a gap of 3 to 4 hours after your lunch, right? To do the practices, right? So early morning, there is no, problem as such, right? But evening time, you have to be careful. Either you have to be empty stomach or you have to maintain this gap, right? So whichever one you prefer, you can choose that timing according to your schedule and practice during this time, right? So today we are going to do one practice also. So I will go for one last point. I will cover rest of the points tomorrow. All right. So I will just cover bathing, right? Because these are a few things which come up on the mind. Okay, so bathing, this is our last point for today. So, again, in the morning, either you can bathe before your practice. Okay, before the practice, there is no problem. You can bathe and then begin your practice. But after the practice, this is where the question comes up, when should I take a bath? Because when you practice in the morning, then your schedule is such that then you have to bathe, have breakfast, and then maybe go to work or sit for work, right? So after your practice, you have to give at least 20 to 30 minutes of gap. Like any yogic practice, after that practice, you have to give about 30 to 40, 20 to 30 minutes of gap before you bathe. Because yogic practices, the temperature of, and when this of the body temperature, again, it causes immediate or
Ma'am, your voice is cracking.
in the garden situation.
Ma'am, there are disturbances.
Then Is this breaking now? It's still breaking, or is there disturbance?
Both, ma'am. There is a disturbance also and it's breaking also.
All right, just give me a moment. Is it a little better now? My voice and the external noise also. All right, great. So yeah, I was talking about bathing. So I'll start from the beginning only. So bathing before, it's all right. Okay. But after, you have to give a gap of about 20 to 30 minutes, because when you do the yogic practices, the temperature of the body changes. Right. And when the temperature of the body changes, then if you immediately go for a bath, then again there is change, right? So that sudden shift will cause illness in the body, right? And it won't allow you to even absorb the impact of what has happened, right? So when something, you do something, you wait for a little while, to see what has happened as a consequence, right? So it doesn't allow you to see what has happened to the body and the mind if you immediately go and bathe, right? And you will see that if there is a lot of like heat and you suddenly step out, you are in a cold environment, you step out, right? So people fall ill because of this thing, because immediate temperature difference, or if you take vice versa also, this is a major cause of illness, right? So in pranayam, you are changing, most pranayams, they will change the body temperature, right? And then again, it's like stepping out of an air conditioned room, right, into direct sunlight, right? That kind of heat. So when you do this thing, again, vast contrast takes place, right? So the body is not able to understand and manage that thing. So you have to wait for a while, right, before you go into bathing, right? Go for a bath, right? So then you can plan your schedule. Now you can plan your schedule in such a way that in between you do some work, right? And then you go for a bath, right? So today's practice is going to be a very, very important practice for all of you, because this practice you're going to do for the rest of the month. Okay. So after I teach this practice, 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes before you go to sleep, you have to do this practice. And this is a foundational practice for pranayama, right? So it's a pre-practice only, but unless and until you don't perfect this one, you cannot move to the next one, right? Which is again a pre-practice only, but then first you have to perfect the first pre-practice, no? So it is called abdominal breathing. Okay, it is also known by the name of diaphragmatic breathing. Abdominal breathing or diaphragmatic breathing. These are the two names you will come across when you read about this practice, right? So abdominal breathing doesn't mean you are breathing through the abdomen, right? Abdominal breathing, actually what it means is that as a consequence, you observe the movement in the abdomen as a consequence of the way in which when you make this change in the breathing, then you observe that there is movement in your abdomen rather than air is going into the abdomen. Right? So this is a common misconception also. So on the basis of division of the lungs, right? So your right side of the lung has 3 lobes. All right. So it's divided in, you can say, 3 sections. And then left side, because of the presence of the heart towards the left side, it is divided only in 2 lobes. But because we have 3 patterns of breathing, we will take the example of the right lobe only to understand which portion is being impacted when we do a particular breathing, right? So now most of us, we do not breathe correctly throughout the day, all right? So now you're going to learn the correct breathing patterns, right? So abdominal breathing is the correct way of breathing. Even during your day, the abdominal breathing should go on. So this is one practice that you can do throughout your day. And in fact, this is the correct way, right? So abdominal breathing actually oxygenates the lower lobes of the lungs. The lowest portion that is present, that generally does not get proper oxygenation because most adults, they breathe through the chest. So if you ever observe a kid, you will see that their abdomen is moving, right, during breathing. But if you observe most adults, their chest moves, right? And this is because we forget to switch back, right? Whenever somebody does chest breathing, generally the body adopts chest breathing because there is some stress or tension, right? And as we grow up, we move more towards the chest breathing and we forget. So the system, and we also consciously forget to switch back to the abdominal breathing, right? And abdominal breathing is the best way of breathing because it is a stress free. In fact, if you are stressed, this breathing will help you to break out of that thing, any stress or tension, right? So when you inhale properly and you want to oxygenate the lower lobes, right? So when you inhale properly, then the diaphragm is a dome shaped muscle that is situated right below your lungs, right? So when the lungs expand and contract, this diaphragm moves, okay, up and down, right? So when you breathe correctly, this muscle, this moves down, right? And the abdomen, when it moves down, it needs space. So all the abdominal organs, they move out. All right. So this is what is happening in diaphragmatic breathing. That something is moving down, which is causing everything else to shift, right? So when you inhale, your abdomen should come out. And when you exhale, your abdomen should go in. Most adults, when they inhale, their abdomen goes in. And when they exhale, their abdomen moves out. Means that they are doing chest breathing and not abdominal breathing, right? So this you can apply in your life and it will immensely help. Why? Because at any point of time when you become aware or you get this awareness, now you have to check your breathing, right? So you can immediately see how you are breathing. And if you feel that you are on your chest breathing, you can immediately switch back to the abdominal breathing, right? All the blood vessels that are passing through the lower lobe of the lungs, right? They will get proper exchange of gases. Right now, only the middle lobe that is getting proper exchange of gases. Now we are increasing our capacity, right? So we have a set capacity, and most adults, they do not breathe efficiently because they don't make full use of this capacity, right? So now when you come into yoga, especially yogic practices, you will see you are exploring the potential of your own breath, right? It has more capability, right? So it's a very simple practice. You can do this in while laying down also. So that's the best part. When you wake up in the morning, 5 minutes, stay in bed and do abdominal breathing, right? And when you are going to sleep, so try 5 minutes you give to abdominal breathing because you can do it while lying down. There is no restriction on this practice, right? When it comes to posture, right? So any doubts so far how you have to practice or what the practice is about? No doubts? All right. Abdominal breathing has immense benefits, immense. Oxygenation of the body gets better, all of its systems and their functioning gets better, right? It helps to release stress, any kind of tension, anybody. In fact, everybody can practice abdominal breathing, right? There is no restriction when it comes to the practice of abdominal breathing. So no matter what illness, what condition a person is in, they can do abdominal breathing because if they cannot sit, they can lie down, right? Everybody is at least able to lie down, right? And be comfortable that way. So even they can practice abdominal breathing. So any kind of client who comes to you, you can definitely introduce abdominal breathing. There is no restriction, right? So let's practice abdominal breathing then. We'll see what kind of impact this breathing is having over us, right? So wherever you are, sit comfortably, keep your back and neck straight, right? And very gently close your eyes. Just start connecting with the natural breathing. We're not going to change our breathing currently, nor are we going to focus too much which body part is moving. Just be aware of each inhalation and exhalation. Slowly shift the attention to the posture. Before we begin our practice, you can just check if you have chosen the sitting posture, then just make sure back and neck is straight. If you have chosen the laying posture, then again, just make sure that you are not tilting your neck. Your entire spine should be straight. Keep your body relaxed. And now slowly come back to your breathing and begin to go into the practice of Puraka and Rechaka. Inhaling and exhaling more deeply than before. Take a few moments just to relax your mind before we begin our practice. Very slowly place either your right or your left hand on your abdomen just to keep a check on the movement of the abdomen, and exhale fully. Contract your abdomen in. As you begin to inhale, expand the abdomen. Once you fill in the full breath, go directly into the process of exhalation and contract your belly in, and continue this process over and over again. Now your main focus is the movement of the abdomen. Inhaling, the abdomen should move out. Exhaling, the abdomen should go in. Keep the mind focused on this movement. So each and every time you feel your mind is running away, you can gently bring it back to the movement in your abdomen. Try to go for deep breaths, and with the passing of time, try to deepen your practice even more. Just keep continuing your practice and check one more thing. Make sure that the inhalation and exhalation is equal. Keep deepening your practice and allow this practice to relax your body and your mind. After your next exhalation, you can relax your hands, keeping the back and neck straight. Simply observe the impact of this practice on your body, breath, and mind. We'll end today's session with 3 Om chantings followed by 3 shantis. Keeping the back and neck straight. Inhale deeply for Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Simply observe the vibrations. Join your palms together and gently bow down. We'll just take out a few moments in our day for a sense of gratitude. Begin to rub both your palms together. Keep your palms on your eyes and allow your eyes to absorb the heat. One more time, we'll rub the palms together. Keep them on the eyes. Very slowly, while blinking and looking at your palms, begin to open up your eyes and come back with a smile. And namaste to everyone. Did you face any issues? Were you able to connect with your practice? Yes. And this practice, it's a even if you are not sleepy, you will start feeling the sleep because it relaxes the mind so much. So if somebody around you has any like level of insomnia, they definitely feel much better. And even if you don't have insomnia, doing this before your sleep and after waking up, it is going to improve the quality of your sleep. All right. So, guys, from today till your last day, of course, a lot of techniques are going to be introduced, but this practice should remain consistent. And if you are able to do for 5 minutes, then you can also work on increasing your time. But for now, 5 minutes is good, right? And you need to perfect this thing. Abdominal breathing also, with time, it will get more better, right? So I did not tell you about the postures today. I will try tomorrow or in the upcoming days, because for a few days you will not require the postures. But after that time, you will require the postures. So I'll try to cover them in the upcoming classes. Any doubts from anyone?
No.
No doubts? All right. So I will see all of you on Monday. I forgot tomorrow is Sunday. So enjoy your weekend, guys, and I will see you on Monday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.